Okay, so I've started up the DesignerPro software and I've set the IP address to the PLC here, and I'm going to create a new project. So I'll show you how to set up a very simple program and download it to the controller and then watch it run. So what I've done is I click on Configure IO. I need to configure the card. So the expansion card that we have is the multi-card. It's this one with the C at the end of it. C stands for current. So we have the current loop card. So I'll close that. I only have one card, so I'll say OK. I'll click on Start Designing. And most of the time, I don't want to see this yellow area at the top. This is for a label. What I'll do is I'll right-click down here and just turn that off. I'm not used to seeing that in programs that I write. If I need to add a label, I can add one, but normally I don't. Also, this software is kind of unique in that it gives you three rows to create your logic in. This is a lot like the Siemens Step 7 software, which looks a lot like this. So it's just their preference and how they do it. So I guess the simplest possible program is to add an output coil. And if you look at the names here, we have a normally open coil. So that's what I'm going to use. I'll click on it once. I'll click over here. And I'll double click. Let's go down to the output 1. Okay, so I have 4 outputs. I'll use output 1. So what I'm doing here is I'm directly turning on output 1 on the card. So if I like this, what I'll do is I'll transfer it to the PLC. Okay, it's got the correct IP address. We'll say start. It's running. Do I want to stop it? Yes. Do I want to restart? Yes. Okay. So it has been downloaded, but I don't see anything here just yet. So let me go online with the controller. Then I will go to monitor mode. And you'll notice, well, one thing that I didn't mention earlier, I've set the outputs to turn green when they turn on. The way you do that is you go to Setup, Project Options, but you have to be offline. So let's go offline for a moment. Let's go to Project Options, Application Colors, and when an output is on, or a contact, a discrete, which means like an on-off signal, I'll just make that green. When it's off, just make it red. Or if you don't want to see red, maybe some neutral color is okay. How about just a gray color? Okay. And then I'll go back online with it again. With the currently open project, yes. Okay. And then I'll go back to monitor mode. Now I'm going up here to go to monitor mode, but I can just right click anywhere and switch to monitor mode. Okay. So it's green because it's on. Notice that I've got a couple of rows here that I'm not really using. I can go back to edit mode. I can right click and delete the row. So I can shrink this down to make it a little more compact, and then go back to monitor mode. Okay. I don't have to do that, but in my opinion, it cleans it up. And I kind of wish that the program would automatically shrink the rung. This is the rung. I wish it would shrink it down to the smallest size. It just makes it easier to look at. But it doesn't, so it's okay. Maybe on the next release they'll do that. Okay, so this is the simplest program we can have. we have an output coil that just turns on. So let's do something with it. Let's add a contact here, okay, like input 1, let's say, and we'll have the output turn on when input 1 is activated. So to do that, I can go back to, I have to go back to edit mode. Okay. And I'll click on an open contact and I'll drop it right here. Okay. So for this one, I think what I will do is I will just add I'll just create a tag name that's not a real input. Okay. So I'm just going to call it start. I'm going to make it capitalized. Start. Okay. So there's my start contact, which would normally be a switch, and that would turn on the output. So let's go back to monitor mode. And notice that everything is grayed out. If I right click on that and tell it to turn it on, it turns green. So when this one is on, this is also on. Okay, so there's a second program. It's got a little bit of control behind it to turn this output on when I press a push button or a toggle switch, turn a toggle switch on. So let's go back to edit mode, and let's do a couple of things. Let's first change this. We're going to replace it with a closed contact. Okay. So you might remember from motor controls that when you have a closed contact, it passes power until I open it. So let's see what this does. I'm going to download to it. Let me turn it off. Okay. I had left it on previously, so if you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, the current value is on for start. So on means that the contact is open now, so that's why it looks like it's grayed out. If I turn off the contact, it closes and this turns back on. So there's a closed contact. Pretty straightforward. So I think I'll stop there with this program. This is just a simple contact and an output. Okay. I'll create another one here that has maybe a timer in it, but we're trying to go a small step at a time. So I'll go back to edit mode. And of course, this pops up on the side. I think I'll change this back to a normally open contact and go back to monitor mode. So you'll notice that the changes that I'm making, as soon as I go back to monitor mode, it downloads the changes and I'm running again. So this one will do runtime edits, which means while it's running, you can make changes to it and it will accept the changes. So this is a nice feature that the software has. So I'll stop the video and I'll make a short video using the other software to show you the same thing.